The hard tender, we all know it. It feels safe. Yeah, you get 3 prices, you pick the lowest, and you feel like you've done your due diligence. But what's that process actually buying you? A contractor who's priced your unknowns optimistically to win the job, and who'll recover their margin throughout the variation process once they're on site. You see, every ambiguity within your documentation becomes a contingency in their tender. Every unresolved detail becomes a variation later. And unlike your tender, variations are not priced competitively. The contractor who wins a hard tender is rarely the cheapest contractor. They're the one who's deferred the most cost until you'd already committed. The solution though, it's not to get more prices, it's to change when the contractor enters the process. You see, with an ECI, early contractor involvement agreement in play, the developer or the client gains a significant time and cost advantage because the builder is working alongside the design team prior to design development to add value. Over the course of this video, we'll be breaking down early contractor involvement, or ECI, what it is, how it works, and what it's actually worth. So keep watching, because we've got a real world breakdown of how you can save money before the builder even hits site. Here's a scenario that plays out on commercial projects consistently. The hydraulic and the mechanical engineer both design their services independently and correctly, but when those systems get to site, they occupy the same physical space. Work stops, everyone has a meeting, variations get thrown around, and the project is now in delay for weeks. That's what's called a coordination clash, and it's entirely preventable. Let me show you how. When we engage a contractor during design, they're running services coordination, clash detection, flagging durability issues, identifying long lead procurement items, and monitoring the budget against the drawings as they evolve. The problems they find on paper cost hundreds to fix. The same problem on site costs thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, and the time delays can be very, very hard to make up. The most effective and economical way to design and coordinate services within a project is to engage the project engineers to provide performance requirements to suit the build only. Then from there, as the builder, we'll work with our own contractors to develop the design in an already coordinated fashion. We create like a mini utopia with our business, keeping loyalty between only a few differing contractors per trade, so that trades get a chance to complete multiple projects together whilst creating camaraderie and collaboration without even knowing it. For example, walking around one of our projects the other week, I noticed a potential miscoordination with installation underway for some underslung services. I pulled up the Sparky doing the job and asked him, how is this going to work? And he quickly replied, I've just had the plumber up and we're both going to slightly shift our services to give greater clearances. You see, relationships like this on site make it so much easier for site management, and a harmony that delivers dividends on both time and cost. And by getting contractors heavily involved in the early design phase, it captures their specialized knowledge and they become more invested in the project and its outcome. ECI isn't a contractor doing you a favor. It's a structured process that shifts risk to the earliest, cheapest point in the project, so that hours don't become weeks, and hopefully costs are reduced as opposed to increased. You might not know this, but the most common concern with early contract involvement is this: if I'm not tendering competitively, how do I know that I'm getting a fair price? The answer is simple: an open book policy. Under an open book arrangement, every subcontractor trade package goes to the market. That means you see quotes received, you see prices selected, and the reasons for that selection. The contractor's fee, the margin, the preliminaries are all agreed upfront and fixed. Nothing is hidden inside of the lump sum. This isn't just giving you transparency, it's giving you control. You're not hoping the number is fair. You can see clearly that it is. It also changes the relationship. When a client can see everything, the contractor has no incentive to cut corners or to load margin into ambiguous line items. With an open book policy, the adversarial dynamic that defines most lump sum contracts completely disappears. An open book doesn't remove the contractor's accountability though. It actually increases it. So let's start peeling back the pages. Let me break down a real world example of how early involvement can save you thousands. In a recent pre-con phase, our team reviewed the structural specifications that called for some large beams and some structural columns across an entire floor plate. Through early involvement, we identified that by pushing the post-tensioning design, the PT design, and replacing the non-structural columns with some spandrel glazing suites, we saved over 180 grand before a single piece of ground was turned. That's a real-life example of value management during design, when you still have the ability to make decisions without the consequences. Across a typical pre-con engagement, savings identified in that phase can range between 5 to 15% of the project's total contract value. Now, on a $40 million project, that's up to a $6 million saving before construction even starts. The pre-con phase isn't a cost, it's an investment with a measurable return. So if you're planning a commercial project and want to understand what early engagement could look like for you, let's have a conversation. Because the earlier we can talk, the more we can help you save.